Yes, sir. Yesterday
Sir,
also it was very nice
Professor
meeting.
Srinivasumurthy, sir. Welcome, sir. Good morning. We are honored to have you, sir. In fact, we are planning to do a separate series with you as the main
Yeah,
speaker.
sir has muted.
Yeah,
He unmute, he can speak.
Yes,
So
yeah.
sir.
we can.
Sir, yeah, sir. I'm.
Professor Srinivasumurthy, sir, can you hear me? Sir, could you kindly unmute your mic? Hello. Uh, Hello. Good morning, Ushwinder ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning, Professor
Good
Lango. How are
morning. Good
you?
morning. I'm fine, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning,
Morning,
Professor
everyone.
Thomas.
Good morning, good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning, Shri Kumar, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so
Good,
much.
good, good. Good, sir. I think some tech some technical problem for Dr. Srinivasumurthy, sir, to unmute his mic. He's trying to unmute his mic. Uh, Dr. James, sir, could you kindly respond to Professor Srinivasumurthy through the chat box because I am unable to type. Professor is here. Professor is online. For all the participants, I think I should mention that we are honored to have Professor Srinivasumurthy, a doyen in the field of mental health, the architect of mental health policy in India, one of the architects, chief architects of the mental health policy in India. And Professor Srinivasumurthy is the main person behind the the growth and development of psychiatric social work as a discipline, and also community psychiatry as a very specific branch of psychiatry. So we are really honored to have you with us, sir. Maybe another 1 minute we'll start, sir. Dr. James.
Yeah, now it is 11:27. We have 3 minutes
Yeah.
in my
Okay, sir.
system.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Professor Sampath Kumar. Professor Sampath Kumar. Professor Sampath Kumar, please come online.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning. I'm not able, they're not connecting me. I can ask him to join, it's not connected.
Oh, he has to admit you, sir.
Looks like.
One second, sir. One second. I'll tell Dr. James.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Sure, sir. Dr. James, sir, could you kindly admit some of the members who are, trying to join? Dr. Gangadharan is trying to join.
No, I have admitted everyone who is showing it in the screen.
Yeah, no, sir is trying, it seems. Could you just take a look? Could you look at it, sir?
Which is popping up only. I am able to, click it.
Sir, you send today's link to him, sir. Otherwise, he maybe lost yesterday link also. He
No,
maybe
no, no.
tried.
Today's link I have sent today morning to everybody.
Okay, sir. That's fine.
Yeah.
Suppose he this.
Yeah. No, could you please tell him, sir? Yeah. Sir, could you please call him up and tell him? Because I'm unable
I
to
don't
make a
have
call.
his number, sir.
1 second, sir. No, I just sent all the links which you sent me this morning, just now. I sent about half an hour
Again,
back.
ask him to
Yeah.
join, sir. If it comes on the screen, I can admit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't
Sure,
have
sir.
a,
Yeah.
Good morning. When I
Good
logged,
morning, ma'am. Good
when I
morning,
logged,
ma'am.
good morning. When I logged in, it didn't allow me. It threw me out, and then now, when after 5 minutes I logged in, it came. So
Okay, ma'am.
the
Okay,
person
ma'am.
will have to again do it as well.
Yeah. Sir, I think we can start.
has he joined? No. Okay.
No, I told him, sir, he's trying. He's trying to join.
All right, sir. Sampath, sir, are you
Sir,
online?
yes, sir, I am online.
All right.
Sir.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to today's third session of the webinar on basic orientation program on gerontology and senior citizen care management for social workers and caregivers. It is organized by BDU Heritage Center for Gerontology, Department of Social Work, Bharatdasan University, Tiruchirappalli, and TransCat People Solutions Private Limited, Bengaluru. And today's session will be handled by Dr. S. Sampath Kumar, Professor and Head, Department of Sociology and Population Studies, Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore. May I request Dr. N. Rajavel, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, Bharatdasan University, to welcome everyone and welcome Dr. S. Sampath Kumar. Over to Dr. Rajavel.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to all. Today we are pleased to welcome Dr. Sampath Kumar, very special guest. Dr. is a professor and head, Department of Sociology, Population Studies, Bharatiyar University. He got PhD in Sociology, Manoanmaniam Suttanayar University, Tirunelveli. He also got a Master of Philosophy in Sociology at Bharatiyar University, Master of PG, Postgraduate degree in Bharatiyar University, and undergraduate degree PhD, College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. His professional experience, he started his career as assistant professor at Nursing College, Coimbatore. Then he moved to as assistant professor, VIT University, Vellore Institute of Technology, Vellore, Tirupattur, and he joined with us to assistant Bharatdasan University in Sociology Department. Then he moved to Bharatiyar University as a professor, Department of Sociology and Population Studies. Under his guidance, he completed 7 PhDs and ongoing is 6. 5 MPhil were awarded and 3 is ongoing. Dr. Sampath Kumar is participated in various national and international seminars and workshops, and he presented papers in 53 papers, and he published articles in the journal articles, 27 care journal articles, and he wrote 3 books, and he contributed several chapters in the various books. His academic participation in as a member academic bodies in board of studies and examiner to the various universities and colleges. He got Indian Council of Medical Research projects, nearly 10 lakhs projects he got awarded, and his research area is gender studies and medical sociology, gender and health, sociology of education, corporate sociology, and sports. He recently awarded Best Faculty Award in 2019, Nature Science Foundation. He also member in various professional bodies as a life member, Indian Sociology of Society, Association of Gerontology India, Indian Association Social Science and Health, International Health Literacy Association. As he is in the life member. All these he is in the life members. Today he will be sharing with us his expert's opinion and futures and effects of sociology of aging. With this introduction, now I invite Professor Sambat Kumar for this session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Rajabel. Sambat Kumar, it is yours. You have about 50 minutes or 1 hour time. Again, with the question and answer session, probably 10 minutes.
Yes, sir.
So thank you. It's over to you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you to all, and good morning to all of you. And first of all, I have a long list of people to thank for this opportunity, and I'll finish it in a very short time. First, I should thank Honorable Vice Chancellor Bharatdas University for this, for the conduction of such a wonderful program, for orientation program for social workers and caregivers. And first of all, I thank Dr. Ilango sir. I should say that sir is my mentor, because sir is, even though he is a very senior colleague to me when I was worked in the Bharatdas University, but so down to the earth person, and even always gives opportunity to the young people. So sir, really I am thankful to you, sir, for this wonderful opportunity. Yes, sir. So I thank Dr. Mangleshwaran sir, head of the Department of Social Work, Bharatdas University, and I thank Dr. Gangadharan sir. Even we have met before in Bhargava University when we conducted a program collaborating with the Department of Social Work. And I thank Dr. James sir. Thanks sir for even in the late hours you called me. That time also you are working. That really surprised to see. And thank you so much sir for the opportunity. And I thank Dr. Rajavel sir, my good friend, and for wonderful introduction about me. And I thank all the participants for your presence. And when sir asked me to give a session on sociology of aging, then I thought it just 1 hour or 1.5 hours deliberation. But again, within a few hours, again he called me and asked to give 2 sessions. Then from that moment onwards, the anxiety started and stress is gone to the peak. When I attended yesterday's program, the ma'am was really presented really well. That again increased my pressure. Okay, with that pressure only now I am in front of you to present my topic. And I actually divided the session into two sessions. Morning session I am planning to focus mainly on the significance and emergence of sociology of aging. And in the evening session, I'm planning to present on theoretical perspectives and recent research trends in aging, particularly sociology of aging. So this way I'm going to plan to my presentation. So shall I present my thing, sir?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yes, yes. Yes, sir. Can you see my slides, sir? Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is clear. I
Yes,
think everybody can chat in the chat box if it is clear.
yes, yes. So as I said already, planning to uh, present the first session on emergence and significance of sociology of aging. And before going to detail about this sociology of aging, I'm planning to ask few questions. I think which all of us are know the answer already. And who's elderly? I think we all know. A senior citizen or elderly is a person who's of age 60 years and above. So this is actually defined by national policy on older persons. And what would be the projection of aged population? Why we give much importance to this section of population? Because last century, I think world experienced speedy increase of population of elderly within the developed and industrialized nations, and but not restricted to only to the developed and industrial nations. Now even moved to even countries like India. Okay, that present world on the globe is feeling the influence of that increase of aged population. The projection is a bit alarming actually. Above 60 years will be double in size between 2001 and 2026. And then they are going to account for 12.17% of overall population in 2026. Being the vast country like India, almost 135 crores of people, the problems are differently felt in the rural and urban part. Okay, in that in coming slides we'll see how it actually influenced the rural part and urban part. Again, before going in detail about sociology of aging, this question always comes in my mind. Okay, is carrying elderly is blessing or a burden in India? Because when such a question I asked many people, and even I got answer like this. It was blessing in yester years, but become burden in recent days. Why blessing in yester years? Because those time the joint family system, even decision making was, even when during the that particular age also, they were holding the decision making power, and they were holding the property. But what happened in recent times, because of educational status of the younger generation, and a lot of mobility is happening, and people are educated. Current generations are moving out of their native places. So again, they slowly and slowly the generation started feeling that the caring of these elderly is a burden. Okay, and another reason why it is a burden again as a national level or as a societal level, because the number of the life expectancy is also increased. So naturally, the elderly are going to live longer, but at the same time their dependency also too high. So naturally, even societal level also it felt as a burden in recent days. So what would be the reason? Just now, what I said is, changes happens in, in the social scenario, and emerging prevalence of nuclear family, which is unavoidable. because naturally when people are migrating from their native area to some other area, so naturally they are trying to create the nuclear family where even their space they live is very smaller. They can't afford to bring their parents and have with them. So that is also one of the reason why they are alone at home. So these all factors, even they individually feel burdened, and as well as already mentioned, societal level also so feels that their presence is a burdened one. Okay, and another thing, due to all this, that all these factors, elderly people also exposed to emotional, physical, and financial insecurity because of naturally it's an obvious factor that they are isolated. So sometimes no one near to them, even a touching distance, or even the distance which they can reach also. So naturally that particular situation, these elderly face emotional, physical, and even sometimes financial insecurity also. So the clear point when put all this together, clear point which each one should realize is aging is a process, not a problem. But actually, most of the research focus the second section of this point. They focus only the problems of aging, but it is must that we need to change our focus from problems to the understanding of aging as a process. When we understand aging as a process, then we understand the issues they face. Then we try to find some way to help them to come out of that particular issue. So to understand better the concept of process, not the problem. So there are a lot of answers within the discipline sociology of aging. Even about aging, there are many sections of many people who are involved in many discipline are done a lot of research and doing a lot of research on aging. Okay, even it is become a part of curriculum now, sociology, sorry, particularly aging. So sociology of aging and slightly differ from other, like the psychologist or biologist and anthropologist. Okay, and almost social workers and sociologists are almost focused. Their focus is in a similar way about aging. So when you go and in detail about sociology of aging, we all know it is a universal phenomenon. Here I wanted to stress one point here is even every living being is face this process of aging. But one point is here is that the other human beings, okay, even when it gets undergo this process, and it has to search for its own survival, or work for its own survival. But only the human being, when the process starts, and naturally they both psychologically, physically, and socially, they are going down, and naturally they are expecting some support from all these institutions. So that is the reason why the aging issues, we should we should see that in the sociological perspective, or considering giving more consideration to social aspects, both on a individual aging as well as aging society. Why we call individual aging? Just now we said it is a process. What is that actually, the aging society? Because many, even some European countries, and what happens is that there is no replacement of population, very minimum number. So lesser fertility rate. Okay, so naturally what happens is there is no replacement of population is happening. So the society is faster becoming older. So it may be even we can term as a aging society, which certainly will face a lot of issues of manpower, and even it will have a serious question about even future economic developments of that particular country. But fortunately, our country we have a perfect replacement of population. We have, proportionately, there is a population in every age group. Okay, so even TFR also comparatively in northern states, it's a bit higher. It is 3 per women. So naturally, I think TFR means total fertility rate. So when you see India, okay, it is perfect, country where just now you said there is a next level of generation to take care of the aged people. So when you see in the human society, always seeing aging as a social phenomenon, okay, rather than physiological, because just now you said physiologically everybody gets older, but when people start seeing their physiological aspect of aging, then naturally what happens is that they are just now I said they are showing a lot of dependence on others. So that again given more importance sociologically, because they are seen as a worthless, they are seen as a useless, they are seen as a disempowered. So then when this phenomenon is happening around them, then even then they are good physiologically, but these social circumstances make them to feel that that they are invalid. So that is the reason why now we need to understand this aging process with a background of social setting. And because even when you see social context of aging, then there are various constraints upon the individual. So constraints means I even quote very specifically uh, uh, internalized stigma. Okay, I strongly believe in that, because mostly this particular term stigma used with chronic diseases like leprosy, AIDS, okay, even now COVID-19 also, even they face in the issue of stigma. But why I specifically mention this internalized stigma when you talk about aging is that I see it as a biggest constraint, because they themselves start feeling that they are invalid. So that is even any kind of measures cannot bring them out of this particular situation. So then that sometimes to due for this internalized stigma, or internally they're thinking that they are invalid. So that maybe the social context may be the reason why they start feeling like that. Then moment they retire from their occupation, then suddenly they feel there's some emptiness in their mind. Suddenly they feel that they have nothing to do. So the people around them are, they even though they are usual, even though they are behaving in a similar way with them, communicating with them similarly, but these elderly start finding some difference in others behaviors. So these are all some of the symptoms of that they are internally they are stigmatizing themselves. So that is also one of the reason. Even I seen some administrators who are administering more than 3,000 4,000 people in industrial setting, even academic setting. Suddenly what happened, then next generation took over. So within few months of period they fell sick and died. So what was the reason? I just discussed with some experts in that area. They said that it affects them emotionally very badly, because they start feeling suddenly that emptiness within them. So that emptiness kills them very soon. So because we should see all this perspective in social context. Sometimes maybe the people around them may be the reason for that. Okay, maybe voluntarily or involuntarily. So aging is not a homogeneous experience, because the way I feel, I cannot expect an next person in the neighborhood also feels the same way. Not possible, because this experience affects every individual in a different way. Because I may be facing some financial issues, so that may be bothering me much, but others may be facing some support system issue with the support system. So like that, the differences are there between, different sections of people. So we cannot, see with the same perspective. So for that also, even sociology of aging, there are many research is going on with considering the micro variables and micro components within the broader area of aging. So, what do we need sociology of aging as a discipline? Because for the developmental theorist, aging is not in their list of you know uh, issues to do a research, because it is most neglected issue, mainly because already mentioned, aged people, once they reach at the age of 65, 70, and people might have thought in early period that what is there to study about them, because they have nothing to contribute. So what way they are going to impact the society, and what way they are going to bring changes in the lives of the people, because they are old. But aged people are, considered as, mostly by deprived of power, because they have no longer in the position of making decisions. And as well as very important point is non-resourceful persons. Even I seen one example here I have to quote. Okay, my father was working as a sub-registrar in the registration department. Once what happened is, they brought one old man to his office for distributing the properties to all the children. So what happened is they brought him to the office. Then after that, every process got over. What these children did, they left that old man in the steps of the office, and all of them left. All of them left. So what happened to this old man was, sitting there and crying. The moment the property is, distributed, then you see the condition of the aged person face. So like that, as long as they are resourceful, then they enjoy the status, because sociologically speaking. But as the moment they become non-resourceful, naturally they all kind of deprivation of power is happening. They become disempowered. So everything is suddenly it's happening. So that is what, even in the current world also, elderly are holding their property very strongly, okay, tightly also. So till after their life, let those people in the next generation, let them enjoy the fruit of the property. So because they wanted to continue to be a resourceful person. So then another important point is, they are not considered as a category of group to show the academic interest. So that is also there, but not in the current society, in the current academic field. Because even in our university, we have a sociology of aging as a core paper in a post-graduation program, as well as for the doctoral program as a coursework subject. So now the academic interest is enormous. Okay, every section of every component of the issues of aged is academic interest. So though the aging is universal, but till a couple of decades back, aging just considered as natural and evolutionary process. That is all. Okay, it is just seen as evolutionary process. But what happens is, in after 1980s, this particular aspect is taken as academic interest as well as research interest very seriously. But one thing we all again to understand, that aging is a multidimensional process. We cannot see only through the sociological eye. Okay, we need to see in a different perspective. Okay, so I can't say that sociology alone can study the issues of age. No, it is a multidimensional. There is a geography involved. There are histories involved. There is a anthropology is involved. Even psychological perspective is very important. Even biological perspective is very important. Even social work perspective is very important. So like that, aging is a multidimensional process. even in the modern research, I have seen many, interdisciplinary researches going on very specifically on aging. Okay, even some nursing graduates, even some doctors collaborating with the social workers, collaborating with sociologists, and they are trying to do a lot of research. Because no, it is a multidimensional process, affects almost every aspect of human life. Because even if you sociology of aging, it's a very strong discipline, but without the help of demography focus, then it is very difficult to bring out a good work of sociology of aging. So it is very important that demography focus on the aging population is a trend now. Okay, it is a trend now in the modern research. So with that help only, we can really take this particular discipline forward. So to add some more points is that this sociology of aging occurs in many different levels, from micro level to the macro level. We can say that as a structural level. The micro level, individual relationships and behaviors, that is a major focus. And level of physiology and biology. Okay, these are all individual level. Okay, but when you talk about the macro social level, we need to focus on social and demographic trends operating at the societal level. So, which is again the focus. This is called as a socio demography. Okay, which is again it is a very important field in the discipline of sociology, social demography. In the social demography, focus mainly on fertility, mortality, and migration. These three factors, I feel, it certainly influence the aged. Okay, more than any other population. Why I say is that when fertility is going down, just now I mentioned when I started this presentation, like replacement of population is not going to be there, and naturally no one is going to be care the elderly, and as well as the society is also going to be the aged society. And next one is about mortality. Okay, when suddenly what happened is that development of medical facilities, so naturally the people started living longer, so life expectancy is increased, so the mortality rate came down. So that is also again that again increases the number of people of in the group of elderly. So again mortality also influences. And migration, when just now mentioned, like the next generation are well learned, well educated, and they are quest for better opportunities outside their native place. Naturally they are forced to move out of their native place to look for the better prospect. So naturally that leave these people alone at their hometown. So the migration also has a serious impact. So I strongly feel that socio-demographic factors are the very important factors which has lot of focus towards aged. Okay, so another point is that this sociology of aging offers a great knowledge base for the postgraduate students as well as for the researchers, because it gives lots of analytical approaches, lots of tools are available, and as well as unique theoretical perspectives also existing already in the developed by great thinkers. So with this all together, this sociology of aging as a discipline, it is certainly, I feel, it is the need of the hour to to have a holistic understanding about elderly and our the age population. So where I said that already the importance of the demography or population studies is to understand better about age, because population aging is the most significant result of the process known as demographic transition is happening. Okay, because we call it as a composition of population. whether the composition is perfectly, there. I said that perfect replacement of population is it there? Is there in every country? Then that is a big question mark, because demographic transition is already started happening. Many countries are, even many societies are becoming, aged. So naturally the productivities go down, right? And then even there is a possibility of particular group of population is even extinct also. So even that is what Gion Borges Pichet in 1979 has highlighted attention to process in aging, which reflects the two dimension of demographic transition. Both I just explained. Aging at the base, it's mainly focus on, fertility fall, because it is commonly happening now. Fertility fall. Another thing, the now earlier family consists of minimum of 4 and 5 children, but now what happens is that now come to the 2 children per home, but now come to the one child norm. So every family now, stick on to this particular norm strongly. That also one of the factor why the fertility is falling. Okay, thus what happens is decreasing the proportion of children. Another thing is next dimension is aging at the apex. Aging at the apex occurs when the proportion of aged person increase presumably due to decline of mortality, already mentioned, at older age. Okay, now very commonly people are living beyond 60, 65, 70, okay, even 75. So all this is our, major factor why every country is facing the issue of, supporting, giving the medical facilities, other financial supports, other physical infrastructure facilities to the older people. So all this are, it is happening because of, the decline of mortality, and the people are living longer. So another thing is, just now I said aging of population is a major phenomena. Now it's a subject of research for many people because of changing demographic transition. So now actually we understood the connection between the demographic transition and the other population aspects with aging. But to understand little more better about the concept of sociology of aging, so we need to understand some concepts here. So first one is ageism, because ageism is an interesting concept, because it is increasingly an issue that older adults face, because once people becoming older and older, then naturally the discrimination they face. Okay, it is purely based on their age. Okay, this may be casual or systematic. Okay, casual means it just may be the part of their life. Okay, so already mentioned, even though the people around them is not showing any discrimination, but these elderly, they face a lot of discrimination. Here I have to mention one point here. Okay, very specifically, yesterday ma'am mentioned about feminization of aging. Even we come across feminization of poverty, even about feminization, feminist theories we have discussed a lot. But when you talk about ageism, okay, even when people are younger, then men are given more importance because they go out on money, support the family economically. When this population gets older, then female, are gaining more prominence. Why? Because when the next generation people, when they are uh, moving out of the home for their job, naturally no one is there to take care of the grandchildren. Naturally, the female elderly are most preferred than male elderly. Even at this particular age also, they need to be together to support each other, but sometimes they are separated only because maybe elderly male may be left at home at the native, but elderly women are most preferred, and they brought to son or daughter, bring them and keeping them with them to take care of their grandchildren. This is also, I feel, is one kind of discrimination shown towards the age, because that particular age, they both should be allowed to live together to support each other. Next is next concept we need to understand is assisted living. Okay, because now living arrangement is, again, it is a very important aspect to do a research, because there are many research already is going on. What kind of living arrangement they have? Living arrangement, it may be physical, it may be, social, okay, even economical. So all these are come under the living arrangement. So where the older people can benefit from different levels, okay, different types of support to assist them in retaining the independence, because more issues they face is the mobility. Okay, when they become older, then mobility is difficult for them, particularly if they have a fall or if they have any other chronic illness or diseases. Again, furthermore complications are there for their mobility. Someone is there to support them. That is what now assisted living is become institutionalized, because there are many old age homes are there, other institutions are there. They are providing this assisted living, but still, these older people are longing for support from their family, which is not happening in most of the places because of not a voluntarily, but it is of compulsion for the younger generations to move out of their native place and showing inability to take care of the elderly. Next is filial responsibility. Again, here an important point is in India, son preference is very huge here. Why son preference? Because here it's a part of our culture that women, when the girl gets married, then she goes to some other's home, so where the parents cannot go live with the daughter. So naturally, they are expecting a son. Once a son is born, then they are happy because they think that I do everything for my son because expecting son will take care of me when I become old. This is what they consider as a filial responsibility. So whether it is happening or not happening, again, it is a big question mark. Maybe in a rural part, it's happening partially, but when you come to the urban part, it is not that extensively it is happening, because more of nuclear family system. Okay, it is not happening in the urban setting, because but still, elderly, they feel that it is a responsibility of the son to take care of them. But many researchers says that when they fall sick and if someone is there to care these elderly, I think many research findings are saying that the daughters are doing a better assistance to these elderly than the boys or the son. Okay, that is, I don't know, there are many reasons behind that, but still, this is actually the overall findings of the many research. So filial responsibility, I feel it is slightly moving from the son part to the daughter, because now every parent is now happy that they have a daughter, because we all know that women are more emotional and more caring. It is natural in their behavior. So that is one of the reason why the daughters are most preferred now, because of the transitions happening in filial responsibility. Next and very important aspect to understand is life course perspective. Okay, because life course perspective is now is very important part in the theoretical perspective in the research related to aging, because it's a dynamic one, because it's a process based approach. Okay, understanding aging by examining how human lives are socially organized and evolve over time. Okay, because how they moved from the particular period to the level of the elderly, because we need to accept that aging, it is not just biologically, even socially also we need to accept it. Okay, that is what this life course perspective is very strongly stressing on it. Okay, next very important part is retirement. Okay, because there is a difference is there between becoming old and become retired. Becoming old, when you're not part of any job, or you may be involved some business or something, suddenly you become old. So you understand that your weakness or your dependence. So all that what happens is that you start feeling old, but retirement is bit different, because where it cannot be defined also completely, but different people feel this particular process in different way. Okay, because suddenly what happens is that the shift is happening from full-time work to the part-time, or sometimes no work. So what happens is that complete withdrawal from the paid activity. So even sometimes, even I read few articles saying that even wife at home are feeling so stressed when the men gets retired, because when they once they retired, then they started coming inside the kitchen and started asking a lot of questions. Sometimes these women at home have no patience to answer this old man. So this is suddenly happening. They wanted to involve, okay, in many aspects of home, and suddenly which he is not familiar with. So that again he faces some alienation from others, that you are not part of it before, why suddenly you are coming in. So these are all some of uh, the transition process happening once the person is retired. So these aspect concepts are very important concepts to understand when younger minds, when they go for research in this area. So we'll move into the second section of my presentation, emergence of sociology of aging. So there are two people, Kirti and Renuka Kumar. Okay, they developed a study material particularly on sociology of aging. They wonderfully consolidated the emergence of this discipline, sociology of aging. Okay, the first one is the interest in understanding the process of aging, the decline of aging body, and quest to prolong life has been a source of inquiry for thousands of years. Okay, because they do a lot of biological research, the process of aging. Even many times, even they're trying to stop this process of aging also by doing a lot of exercises, a lot of medications, or some Ayurvedic aspects. They tried many to stop the process of aging or slow down the process of aging. Okay, and decline of aging body. Okay, and quest for prolonged life, how to live longer. Okay, all these are source of inquiry for thousands of years. And before 19th century, okay, although scientific study of social gerontology is relatively new, because those time it was not even existing as a separate field, but it has roots in biological studies. Okay, because those even long back they started studies, biological studies about aging process and the kind of issues they face. Okay, physiologically, and even psychology also had developed studied about human development before 19th century. Okay, even Roger Bacon, he quest to identify the laws governing the aging process during 1600s, and later during the 1700s with Benjamin Franklin, he shown interest in rejuvenation. Okay, because the Bacon just now I said suggested that life expectancy can be extended if health practices such as personal and public hygiene was improved. So even those time itself, Bacon said that if your personal hygiene is maintained and public hygiene is maintained, and people can live longer. So even that is the starting point of and research or understanding about the aging. Okay, even Thorne in 2005 he wrote an article and he said that even dated back to the 17th century. First collection of statistics on mortality or morbidity was recorded. Okay, because without considering the age people, these two cannot be recorded, morbidity and mortality. And even Galton's data collected during 1800s and demonstrate that many human attributes varied depending upon the age. Okay, because a different age group have different attributes. He collected data in 1800s, and even during 1900s, biologists such as Pearl contributed to an investigation of the hereditary nature of longevity. Okay, the question is raised, why some are living longer. Okay, even the same environment the people are living, some die in a very younger age and some live in even after 100. Okay, even surprisingly, even now COVID is going on. I read in the newspaper at the age of 93, one world women recovered from COVID. But yesterday I heard the news and 30-year-old died of COVID. Can't understand. Okay, this is what the Pearl might have thought in during that time. Hereditary nature of longevity. Okay, even Adlop is the first scientist to explain aging as a developmental process. Okay, he said that slightly moved out of biological perspective to developmental perspective, because he said that further we should not understand rather than as a stagnation or deterioration, we should consider as a developmental process during 19th century. So even directly they are not even touched upon this particular sociology of aging, but each of them contributed on their own way. When you talk about early 20th century, in 1903, Russian biologist Eli uh, Mechnikov proposed the concept of gerontology as a new field of study, because he said that even gerontology is a multidisciplinary subject. Since its conception in 1903, this field is started expanding, and still it is expanding, I can say, to include different perspectives about aging, particularly critical gerontology, techno-gerontology, and environmental gerontology. Okay, all that is added in the field of gerontology. The term is also, during the 20th century, associated with the geriatric medicine. Even if there are separate field now in the medicine, geriatric medicine. Even any multi-specialties you go, there is a separate ward is there, like geriatric ward. So even those time itself, even 20th century itself in UK, they gave importance to the geriatric medicine because it is a hospital-based specialty concerned with both mental and physical disorders, and they were involved in prevention, diagnosis, and care and treatment of older persons through medicine, nursing, and other allied health professionals. And to even during 20th century, early 20th century, social gerontology concentrates on social, economic, and demographic characteristics of the older people, because they have seen this connection between these three. Okay, and aging, increasingly the focus has been on the life course approach to aging, because just now I said life course approach is going to be the future of research on elderly, because comparing life course approach, integrating with many theories, we can even do a lot of research. So like that, combining these three, social perspective, economic perspective, and demographic perspective, we can able to explain the life course approach in better way about the elderly. So another thing is that there are two important forces. It led to the expansion of research during early 20th century, like the age problems in social gerontology. Okay, in the late 19th century and early 20th century, the first issue they found is that growth of population over the age of 65 years, because they felt that those time itself, they felt that it is increase in the life expectancy. Second very important aspect they found is that emergence of retirement policies in industrial setting. Even some countries, they even thought of increasing the retirement age from 60 to 65. Even they thought of increasing up to 67, because they thought that their contribution is needed. At the same time, they'll not feel isolated and discriminated. So that also two important forces, okay, they suggested during early 20th century. And early work of social gerontology dealt largely with social and economic problems of aging. For example, Crowdry, he wrote a book on problems of aging, published in 1939, focused on society's treatment of older people and on their particular needs. Okay, because he wrote that book published in 1939, specifically focusing on how society is treating the older persons. So when you come to the next period, the period of 1940s, even in 1945, the Gerontological Society in America was founded, because bringing a small group of researchers and practitioners who are interested in gerontology and geriatrics. And even the Journal of Gerontology, which began publishing in 1946. Okay, because this is the first vehicle, okay, for transmitting new knowledge about the gerontology and growing field. And even during this period, National Health Service in 1948 was created in the UK, also provided financial and administrative support for geriatric medicine. If anybody is interested to have a separate section in their hospital or anywhere, they supported them financially. And because this field is grow more awareness of issues facing the older population, because they become formal study of aging emerged in the 1940s. And coming to the next is the period of 1950s. 1950s, you see, according to Homan and Keogh, the indicators of the knowledge explosion in the field of social gerontology is that the literature on aging published between 1950s and 60s, almost just in 10 years period, equal that of the previous 115 years. Okay, that's a major thing, because the Journal of Gerontology started, and people started publishing lots of work. Okay, compared to 115 years, and the study of aging even during that period of 1950s advanced through a number of classic textbooks. Okay, like Howell's Our Advancing Years in 1953, Exton Smith's Medical Problems of Old Age in 1955, and Peter Townsend's Family Life of Older People in 1957, and the last one, and The Last Refugee in 1962. These are all few texts published during this period, very specifically focused on elderly. Later, sociological studies showed the problems of older people faced in the community as well as in the institutional care. Okay, even during the period, the institutional care started. Then they studied what all the issues the elderly face in the institutional care. So all these are, raise the implications of growing older population posing problems for society, family, and as a individual, which also gave a more importance during the period of 1950s. During the period of 1960s and 70s, the trend started of exploring different aspects of social life of the aged, such as studies of the problems, needs, and adjustments of the aged population. Okay, and even in 1970s, two new phenomenon had come in focus. The first one is mistreatment or elder abuse. Till that time, they didn't focused on that. Okay, but we that suddenly what comes in our mind is the elderly not face the abuse? Not like that. They were facing the abuse. They were facing the issues, but only after 60s, 1960s and 70s they started exploring the mistreatment of at a family level and at a community level and elderly abuse, many abuse, physical abuse, okay, even verbal abuse. These are all common abuse they face. And second important focus during this period in 1970s is the critical examination of social policies and services for welfare of the aged, because they realized during that period, right, they are suffering, they need to be supported, because as long as they are economically active and they are productive, they could able to take care of themselves as well as a family. Suddenly they have become old and economically they are weaker and no support is existing. Naturally, they need some policies through from the government side to support them, as well as to services, specifically healthcare services and other care, institutional care services, and all other services to support them for their welfare. So that is also thought of during the period 1960s and 70s. And the last three decades, what happens is that the United Nations declared 1982 as the year of International Year of the Aged. And this meeting brought about a revolution in the field of gerontology. Therefore, in 1980s, several encyclopedias, handbooks, and source books were written to provide more information about aging. Okay, therefore, and many governments and non-governmental organizations had started working in the field of welfare of the aged during last 3 decades. And during this period, the issue of population aging has received renewed attention in the field of social gerontology, because population aging is an obvious consequence of the process of demographic transition, because we understood now very clearly all these consequences, issues the elderly face due to demographic transition. So that understanding is there. So now modern sociological research on aging cannot survive without the support of the demographic concepts or demographic data. With that help only we can do a lot of research in the field of gerontology and about aging. So the developed regions of the world, even during last 3 decades, have already faced its consequences and are also facing its, whereas the developing regions will sooner or later face the similar situation. Why? Because the developed nations already, facing the issue of manpower, because that is what even Abdul Kalam said. 2020, India is going to be superpower of the world. Okay, not because of our resources, not because of our military. It is purely because of our manpower. Because in the coming decades, India and China is going to, supply manpower to throughout the world. Why? Because already I explained, because the increasing number of age population, because the society itself is, getting aged. So naturally, what happens is that even many countries are struggling even to give a elderly care, because even this elderly care, more than a care, they need some kind of emotional support. Okay, someone should listen to them. Even for that, also people are not available to listen to their issues. Okay, even they die of isolation than of a chronic illness. Okay, so this problem is going to drastically increase. So India's is in the right perfect position even to provide manpower to the world. So this is again what happens is that even India, even some developing countries also started facing this issue. Why? Because already mentioned decline in the fertility rate that is happening even in urban setting. Okay, where educational level goes up, naturally the size of the family also considerably comes down. So when it is comes down, then replacement is not perfectly happening. So naturally, elder people are going to be, alone in future. So that again will multiply the issues, and it will have a lot of burden on the government to support them in by providing other many support facilities. And when you talk about Indian context about sociology of aging, the interest in the prevention of aging is in ancient scientific study, particularly on the psychological aspects. Okay, even prescriptions of Manu in Dharma Shastra with regard to the do's and don'ts in old age. Okay, what the old man supposed to do and not to do, that is clearly given in Dharma Shastra. Okay, even in India, prominence came for discipline only in the last 2 decades of 20th century. So even Bali said in 2001, most of the studies carried out by psychologists, social workers, anthropologists, demographers, sociologists, and biologists. Okay, even what happened is that the founding of Association of Gerontology happened in 1982. That is a bigger platform even now also to bring all gerontologists together. Okay, so even we say that in India, like Ayurveda, particularly Kayakalpa. Okay, Kayakalpa is it's one way of stopping the aging, right? Physiologically, right? So even those from those time also, even Indian context, they touched upon these issues of elderly, but not directly, but indirectly. Okay, and development of gerontological theories is also the part of emergence of sociology of aging. Regarding that, we are going to discuss in the evening session in detail. And even when you talk a little more about emergence of sociology of aging, Victor and Verne in 2011, they divided the evolution of sociology of aging into 3 phases. And the first phase is about perception of aging as role-less roles. Okay, because role-less roles, okay, withdrawing older citizen from social roles and social interactions. They feel that they have some role, but have no role at all. Okay, that is one of the important evolution of important phase in the evolution of sociology of aging, because both socially, even personally, as well as psychologically, these aged people face this issue of role-less roles. Okay, and next about focus on continuation of activity. Okay, in older stage of life, once they retire, now what happens is people are in academics, right? Once they are about to retire, then they look for some other opportunity to continue because they don't want to sit at home. So like that, the continuation of activity, certainly what happens is it helps them to have a successful aging, because till they can, then they can, right, they can move on. So that is what we call as a continuation of activity. So we need to consider that phase also in the evolution of sociology of aging, right? There are a lot of avenues like re-employment, looking for some other opportunities, even non remunerative activities also, whether which gives happiness to them, so that will keeps them more productive, and they themselves feel that they are worth. Okay, still. Next is third phase is that focus on promoting older stage of life. Okay, as an active approach. Okay, concentrated on social participation, physical activity, diet, and other behaviors. Very important, right? Even social participation means whether how much of participation they have, because this we have to very specifically talk about personal perspective as well as community perspective. When you talk about personal perspective, already I spoke about the internalized stigma focus, because they themselves, suddenly they become old and suddenly they are retired, then they withdrawal symptoms are they are showing. Withdrawal means they are suddenly become silent, okay, not communicating to anyone, not talking to anyone, not participating in other activities, familial activities, family gatherings, okay, or any celebrations. So suddenly some kind of withdrawal symptoms are there, which is very dangerous symptom these elderly they show once suddenly they retire, right? So that is again will put a bigger question mark about successful aging. So it is must that we need to promote social participation, okay, even voluntarily, even if they are not willing, some forcefully also we need to do the involve them in social participation, okay, encourage them to do some physical activity which keeps them more feel that they are good physically, as well as give them more importance towards their diet, either a personal level or a familial level, okay, and other behaviors, okay, because behaviors, why I specifically focus on behaviors, because once a people become older, all right, once they retire, then suddenly they show some odd behaviors, like they show some uh, uh, arrogance, okay, kind of not non cooperation, kind of not accepting for any kind of treatment for their illnesses, and kind of uh, uh, lack of connection they show towards younger generations. So these kind of behaviors suddenly they start showing. So these are all can be corrected, and we can help them to come out of such a situation by involving them more in social participation. So Victor and Vern, they said that these all three phases the elderly undergo in the evolution of aging. So that is a focus of sociology of aging, very specifically in the future. And what is the focus of sociology of aging? There are, I already said, different perspectives are there. Okay, aging focuses on the health, socio-economic, socio-psychological aspects of the elderly. So when you talk about health aspects, because we all know nothing new, the disease is very specifically physical and mental. Here, I think we all know about psychosomatic disorders, which is considered as very common issues these elderly face. Uh, Another, because we strongly believe that psychosomatic means if anything happens to the mind that affects the body, anything happens to the body that affects the mind. Actually, for the aged, it is the first category, because it happens firstly to the mind, then they start feeling weak. Okay, they think that yeah, I am retired, so I cannot do anything. Hereafter, then I'm going to take rest. So when they start feeling that they wanted to rest themselves, that is a starting point of deterioration or decline. Okay, so it is very important that they should see that they are mentally they feel yes, still they are worth, still they can do. So naturally, the physical also they can feel that they can do. Another is the health and mobility of the elderly. Again, it is more of psychological and even more of physical also. Because once this elderly become old, then now in a contemporary world, we can say that lifestyle diseases are almost everyone is suffering, like hypertension, diabetes. These two are now called as lifestyle diseases. So these two are, both causes due to maybe food diet aspects, as well as the even psychological aspects also, causes also, like a stressful lifestyle, or maybe occupied some higher positions where the pressure is too much on them. So these are all also the reason for hypertension and diabetes. So when they become old, suddenly these chronic illnesses are most affecting them, and help forcing them to look after their health and look after their diet, which most of them they don't do that. Naturally, what happens is that when they become hypertensive, then there is a higher chance of getting the stroke. Okay, so when the stroke is happening, then mobility is restricted. When the mobility is restricted, then someone is there to take care of them. That is also biggest issue this elderly face with regard to their health. Then the kind of healthcare system they avail, and as well as accessibility. We can call that availability and accessibility. It is again here there is no homogeneous aspect. Everyone can't afford a better healthcare system. So when the healthcare system is you're not getting the appropriate healthcare system for a particular disease, again that will again leads to decline of their health status. So again it is a question mark about accessibility as well as availability. This is again now the very recent as a issue for research in future by comparing the life course perspective. Next is health seeking behavior, because we mostly the younger generation see elderly as old fashioned. Okay, because they don't seek the health immediately, because they have such a behavior. They try at home many other home remedies, and they ask support from neighborhood. Once nothing is works out, only they finally go to the hospital. Even delaying the treatment also sometimes maybe put them into the some serious issues. So health seeking behavior is also one of the issue with the elderly, which again have a negative impact towards their health. Next is the government interventions, which we all know. Even yesterday here we hear a lot from ma'am. And care and support network available. Okay, support network particularly like familial support network or community support network or institutional support network. So is it available, right? Is there get a care which they are expecting, or is they get a care which is needed, right? So that is also very important, which determines their health status. Last one is then practices that promotes healthy aging. Right, when they reach the age of 60 plus, then the body is not cooperating with them. Sometimes mind is also they cannot able to keep it in order or peaceful. So what happens is that then practices also slowly start declining. Right, then lack of interaction, disconnection is happening. So all these are puts a question mark about healthy aging. So it is very important that we need to stress them about practices that promote healthy aging. That is also differs from urban setting to rural setting. Okay, because urban setting again isolation is very important, right? Where institutional care is there, and when it is a rural setting, again it depends upon the resource the elderly having. When he is having a resource, then naturally then support system is very stronger. So all this are will come under the both emotional and physical health aspect. When it is about socio-economic aspects, continued importance of earning, even a smaller earning after retirement is also helpful to them. Okay, which will help them economically. And the relative financial position of older men and women and couples, very important, because men are comparatively stronger than women, right? Because women, most of the women, if they are housewife, naturally what happens is that they don't have anything on their own to spend. So naturally they are mostly depend upon older men or others, son or daughter or who are supporting them. So financial position, relative financial position also we need to be focused. And next is the problems of equity, right? Equity means whether men and women are treated equally. Again it is a question mark, right? Particularly even at the age of, even after they cross 60 65 also. Okay, another equity when you talk about here, there is a class aspect is also there, and gender aspects also there. When you talk about class aspect, because when the people who are upper class or higher or middle class or lower class, there is a difference in issues the elderly face. If it is upper class, naturally, they have no issue of money, so that they provide all kind of support to the elderly, so that any medical care they get it immediately. But middle class struggle bit, but still they can. But you see the poorer class, certainly they suffer a lot. So there is a issue of equity in in uh, in in uh, in, in utilizing the facilities or any other care they receive. Next is the participation in the labor market. Okay, because now unemployment is very huge. So no organization is willing to re-employ the elderly. Okay, because they need younger minds. One, very rarely the elderly are considered, because if the organization feels that they are irreplaceable, okay, the others cannot perform equal to that old man. So that kind of thing they keep them. Otherwise, labor market is not at all open for elderly. Next is economic independence of the elderly is an important factor. As long as they are economically independent and they are live longer. Again, a lot of research says that. Okay, they have a better support system and the economic independence. Comparatively, that particular elderly live longer than the elderly who have economically dependent. And again, another important is the lack of social security. Suddenly they feel that nothing around them, okay, no one is around them, right? Suddenly they feel that if anything happens to me, who will take care of? So such a lack of social security, both emotionally as well as physically around them. So that is again put them down. Last one already discussed. I mentioned about feminization of old age, because women are considered old women are given preferred over the old men in taking care of the elderly. That is also very sadly, even younger couples, they are not now willing to leave their children to the elderly. Why? Because now elderly are the bigger risk of getting this infection. So now younger couple are feeling that, okay, if they leave their kids with their elder parents, then they feel that the child also may get infection. So that even Israel defense minister, he gave an interview. In that interview, he said that for another 1 year, grandpas and grandmas cannot hug the grandchildren. So what happens is that gap itself is it is really affect them both emotionally, okay, and as well as physically. So this feminization is very strongly existing even in the current world also. Then I think we are almost come to the close of our presentation. Socio-psychological aspects. Very important research area now is intergenerational relationship. Okay, like the relationship between relation. Hello. Yeah, relationship between elderly and the grandchildren. Okay, because even when me as example, my father was very tough with me when I was very young. Okay, very tough. Okay, even directly not even I utter a single word against him. But now what happens is that my father is too softer with my son. So this is what we call as the intergenerational relationships. So the grandparents are more show affection towards grandchildren. So that is there in that intergenerational relationships. Now again, that is also already mentioned. It's now in a part of current research. Next is social isolation. No need to explain much about that, because that is part and parcel of any elderly. Perception of elderly about their own identity. Okay, already I mentioned this also. Suddenly they feel that they are invalid. Suddenly they feel that they are emptiness. Suddenly they feel that they can't contribute anything. So that perception again kills them very faster than already mentioned their age. So changing social roles, okay, and social positions of the elderly. That suddenly happens when people who are occupying the higher positions. So impact of modernization and globalization, because yesterday also ma'am spoke about all that, because joint family systems are broken and nuclear family systems are formed. It is all because of modernization and globalization. A lot of mobility occurs. Okay, like um, intergenerationally, right? They move out of native places. Already we discussed, and social participation of elderly and family and community activities, that is slowly declining. Okay, it is all depends upon how family perceiving that particular elderly or community is perceiving that particular elderly. That is also the important matter to discuss. As well as intergenerational mobility is there, just now I mentioned. Okay, that is drastically happening now. Okay, when the younger couple they move to the other country for their living, for their better career, there they have their kids. Okay, when the kids comes back, and they lack in their native language, full proficiency in the native language. Naturally, it is again tougher time for the elderly to interact with the grandchildren or granddaughters. So this intergenerational mobility is an important factor in modern research towards the age. And the various psychological problems, psychosocial problems, already I discussed about psychosomatic disorders. Everyone face, every age group, they face psychosomatic disorders. Okay, that is what one research from America, they said that 80% of the population in the world are suffering from one or other psychological issues. Like that, even elderly, it is so visible. Okay, psychosomatic disorders are so visible. For example, shoulder pain, knee pain, okay, can't walk, can't climb, can't sit and can't get up. So these are all maybe 25%, 30% related to their physique, but it is more of related to their mind. Okay, that is what the focus should be little bit towards psychosomatic aspects of elderly. Okay, so with this I conclude this small presentation. Hope we all benefited out of this. Maybe it is difficult to cover the whole new discipline within 1 hour, 10 minutes, but still, I hope I could do that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
It
you
was
so
a fantastic presentation.
Yes.
Thank you so much. You have covered almost the entire, range of.
Thank you, Dr. Sambat Kumar. Dr. Ilango, are you speaking? Dr. Ilango?
No, go ahead, sir. Go ahead. No, I was just complimenting Professor Sampath Kumar for the wonderful presentation, and it was very comprehensive, sir, and
Thank
it
you,
has
sir.
given us a very clear perspective. I think that's very important for the budding gerontologists who are
Yes.
attending this
Yes.
webinar.
Thank you, sir.
Because perspective building is the most important thing for any subject for that matter. And in the field of aging, that is what is lacking. There is a lack of perspective.
Yes.
Because people tend to view aging from their own, pigeonholes. Kind of,
Yes, sir.
they start viewing from their own, lenses. And there
Yes.
is a need to integrate all the disciplines, and so that way it was a very broad and a very clear presentation. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
Thank you
And
so
I'm
much, sir.
sure you're going to take us to the next level in the evening session. I think
Sure, sir.
yeah, participants may be eager to interact with you. So
Sure,
over
sir.
to you, James.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Sambat Kumar. Thank you, Dr. Professor Ilango. Can we have a couple of questions? It's already 1 o'clock
Sure,
here.
sir. Sure.
And a couple of
Sure, sir.
questions.
Sure.
And yes,
Sure, sir.
and I think Mr. Anup Chuley has come up with another viewpoint. In the chat box, you
Yes.
could read. I will
Yes, sir.
read out.
Yes, sir.
Since many participants are using the term elderly, the term
Yes.
elderly is ageist. Ageist terms are those terms in which stereotype is promulgated and treatment is delivered differently on the basis of age. In
Yes.
1995, the United Nations Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights of Older Persons rejected the term elderly in preference for the term older persons.
Yes, sir.
United Nations Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, the economic, social and cultural rights of older persons.
Yes,
So
sir.
what is your opinion about it, sir?
So I feel elderly is it denotes a biological aspect of aging, sir. It's evolutionary process. Okay. Sometimes when you specifically talk about physical aspect of this elderly, then we can term them elderly, sir. But when you talk about social and psychological issues, as older persons is a better term than elderly. Yes.
Can we use the term
Yes,
the
sir.
term older adults?
Yes, sir. Can be, sir. Can be, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Just
Can use.
just to add one point to what Sambat
Yes, sir.
said, right term older person. So I think
Yes.
what Dr. Anup says is really very important. And what is happening in India is that somehow at the government level, at the policy making level,
Yes.
there seems to be no impact of this particular issue. So hence
Yes.
there's people seem to be using lot of terms interchangeably: elderly, aged, older persons, older adults. So that has been happening, and I think
Yes.
in an Indian context, people are comfortable with the term elderly. But I'm personally I agree with both Dr. Sampath Kumar and Dr. Anup and others that older persons has to be the right that would be the right
Terms.
terminology.
Terms.
Yeah.
Terminology. Yes.
Sometimes I find it very difficult to make people understand, that older persons refers to elderly, because
Yes.
very often they think that the older person means just older than, just maybe if even if small child, if you compare two children, one child is older than the other, and the other, you can say the older child is an older person, but that's not the meaning. I think the
Yes.
correct way of looking at it is older persons or older adults are elderly or aged people. That
Yes.
has to somehow become popular in India. I think it's spread
Yes.
this message and propagate this.
Thank
That the usage of older adults or older persons would be more acceptable than using the terms elderly and aged.
you. Aged. Correct. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Srimat Kumar, I'd like to just make a comment since
Please.
Dr.
Please, sir.
Ilango
Please.
was talking.
Please, sir.
I
Please, sir.
particularly respond to Dr. Ilango's comments on the term use of the older persons.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Ilango, I just want to go back to 1997 when we had the
Yes, sir.
policy discussion.
Yeah.
When we're talking about the policy discussion in 97, the use of the word older person was discussed extensively. Mrs. Maneka Gandhi was the minister. And subsequently, several meetings took place, and the government decided to use the term, United Nations used the term older persons. So the policy was accepted as older persons. So
Okay,
the
sir.
national policy on older person was thus made.
Yes.
And I want to tell you, subsequently, the Senior Citizens Association in the country
Yes.
and several NGOs did not like the use of the word older persons.
Older.
In every meeting, every conference, they said that we don't want to be called old people. So understand, India's version of
Yeah.
English is very different from the international
Yes,
terms.
sir.
So
Yeah.
therefore, everybody said senior citizens, and therefore, when we sat in the policy in 2010, when we were reviewing the policy, I happened to be in the committee, and then we discussed this extensively, and then we said we'll use the national policy for senior citizens. And thereafter, I can tell you every term that is being used in this country is senior citizens. I think
Yes.
this is respecting the use and expression of the senior citizens. I think this is one way to respect what their versions are. And therefore, I would, there may not be necessity for us to review this view at this point of time. So I think senior citizens is going to be the accepted term as we see at this point of time. Thanks. I must tell you, doctors, before I say thanks to Dr. Sampath Kumar,
Thank you,
beautiful
sir.
coverage. I must
Thank
tell
you.
you, I went back to my college days, Madras School of Social Work days, 74, 76.
Thank
Going
you, sir.
back to sociology.
Yes,
Fabulous.
sir.
I
Yes,
think
sir.
you narrated it so beautifully. You just gave an
Yeah.
evolution to 1800s onwards.
Yes,
I
sir.
think you beautifully covered all the subjects. One person I've always met in my life is a person who coined the word, Dr. Robert Butler,
Atlet.
coined the word ageism.
Yes,
I've
sir.
known
Yes.
him very personally for many years, and I've met him
Oh,
on so many occasions.
great.
And
Okay.
actually, it was one of the very privileges to have such people known to you personally.
Yes.
So ageism is one word that has, I think, gained a lot of importance, and so does the abuse.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
And
sir.
I know evening is going to be a little short time for us because we
Yes,
are
sir.
having another international program. I think
Yes,
we're
sir.
going to request Dr. Ilongo to talk to you along with Dr.
Sure, sir.
Thomas and see what best we can do to ensure
Sure.
that we don't lose your sessions. Thank you
Sure.
once again.
Thank you, sir.
Dr.
Sir,
Gagadu,
one more point I wanted to add here, sir.
Please,
Actually, speaking in India, we have a culture that every older people we call them as a tata. Okay, but in Tamil Nadu, okay, that is because in other countries everybody's called by their name. Okay, so here once the people once at the age of 40 you reach, then everybody call you uncle. Suddenly you feel that you are old. Okay, and even when everybody respectively call everyone tata and pati, grandma and grandpa. So that is also one of the reason why here people start feeling the old than other thing. So this is actually I wanted to add here, sir.
True, sir.
Thank you. I would request one minute, madam. I would request Dr. Gangadharan to explain about the evening Zoom meeting so that everybody will be aware and we can attend.
Yeah,
Okay,
just before that, sir, 1 second, sir. We will just, we will accommodate both, sir.
Okay.
My humble suggestion is to have the international webinar first,
Good.
and then maybe shift this, if it is convenient, to Professor Sampath Kumar.
Sure, sir.
We
Sure.
Professor
All right.
Sampath. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is it okay, sir?
Yes,
So,
sir. No
so that you
issues.
could be a part of that international webinar.
Right,
Also.
very good.
We'll be happy to join us.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've also mentioned.
Sure.
I've also mentioned the evening session. We have, I think, Dr. Thomas. I think you have mentioned the list of speakers in
Yes,
the
sir.
chat,
Yeah.
and I've also given the link to that. Kindly ensure that everybody has a link
Yeah.
Sure.
because I may not have access to all of you. Kindly copy that link
Right.
and come in because I think we are going to have series of such six series every alternate week. I
Yes.
think don't miss it because once you attend this, understand there's going to be practically about 14 to 15 countries representing all these programs. And we hope to increase the number over a period of time, next 6 months' time. But this goes on till September. Don't miss this because it's a rare occasion for us to sit in our own home and learn about what's happening across the world. So they have kindly note down this, and I may not be able to send it, but in case Dr. Ilongo and team be able
Yes,
to
sir.
take this and send it to all those people who are present today in this meeting, it will be wonderful.
Right.
And
Uh,
Dr. Thomas,
Dr. Gangadharan,
I will send out a mail to everybody with this link and the meeting ID and password.
somebody's asking me a question here.
Excuse me.
yeah,
Is
that
the
would be nice.
excuse
Thank
me? Is the
Yeah.
timing from 6 to 7:30 or 6:30 to 7:45?
5:30 to 6:30 is international seminar.
Yeah, so
5:30 to
ours is from 6 to 7:30 because the message says 6 to 7:30. Dr.
So
Sampath Kumar.
we are just pushing it, half an hour back. So we'll
Earlier.
we'll start from 7 and go up to 8.
Hello.
So,
Instead of 6:30, start at 7.
I must tell you, the international program will get exactly at 6:30. It will not go 6:35. It will be over at
Then
6:30.
we can start, yes, sir. Then
few
we can
minutes,
start at
6:30,
6:30.
few minutes, yeah.
So we
So
can start
finally,
at 6:30 and we can go up to 7:30.
so Professor Dr. Ilango, what is final timing for our session in the evening? Is it 6:45 or 7?
I think 6:45 would be better, ma'am.
Yes, I think 6:45 would be better. We
So
can
that
have
we-
10-15 minutes to link to our own this thing.
Yeah.
The Zoom link is for the international webinar or for Dr. Sampath Kumar's webinar?
No, Zoom link is for the international webinar, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Our session in the evening, that link has already been emailed to you.
Yeah, yeah. In that list it is there. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
ma'am. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ma'am, Ushwinder ma'am, you wanted to say something, ma'am? You wanted to make some remarks or?
No, I think we are already late. In the evening session, we will talk again about some issues of today.
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Professor Sambat Kumar,
Sir,
thank you once
thank you,
again,
sir.
and we'll meet in the evening.
Meet in the
Okay.
evening, sir. Yes.
Dr.
Anything
Sampath
else
Kumar,
now?
Yeah. Yeah, 6:45, sir. 6:45.
6:45, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes. Sir.
If time
Yeah.
Thank you,
permits,
sir.
please
Thank you,
do
sir.
join us
Thank
for the
you.
international event also.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
We'll meet in the evening.
Evening, sir. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the complimentary program. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll meet in the evening. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Professor Ilanga, sir, you are there online, right?